Thanks, Donna. I would just like to welcome everybody. You know, anytime we have media day, that means that the season is really right around the corner. And I also think it's a great opportunity to just reflect a little bit. You know, when she says I'm entering my 7th season, there's many times that I think, wow, I can't believe I've been here that long. It seems like just yesterday that I was standing at the podium like this, being introduced as the head coach. And it's a little surreal to think how lucky and blessed I've been with the student athletes that I've had the opportunity to coach. And also with the leadership of Sean and Deborah especially in what we're trying to do in striving to win that MAC championship, like you've heard many of the coaches talk about already. I want to start out by introducing my staff that's here. You know, they're really the brains behind the operation. Alexis, Lawrence, and Jane Stewart are both here starting their 3rd year on staff with me. Adam Tandez has been here for 6 years, really runs the offense for us, and also coordinates our recruiting efforts, which are so critical to success. Jane and Lex both coordinate our defense and also take care of the academic side of things, which I can't stand up here and say we were #1 in the country like Sam did, but we're pretty excited about what our student athletes have been able to do in the classroom when they sit at about a 3.7 GPA. Also new to our staff this year is Elise Roberts. She is a graduate assistant for us that coordinates a lot of our social media and creative content areas. And then Allie Lehman was a graduate assistant for us last year and is now kind of taken over the operations piece in our department. So I obviously am a little biased, but I think we have a great staff. I think they very much are passionate about the program and passionate about what we're trying to do. And sometimes that goes a really long way. You know, when I evaluate our program, I will always talk about 3 different areas, and many of you have heard me talk about this before, and the most obvious one is competitive success. I think there was times last year where we played some really good basketball. I think we have some pretty dynamic players on our team, but competitive success is something that we are striving to get better at all the time. The other piece is where are we at culturally? Do we feel good about the chemistry that we have? Do we feel good about the young ladies on our team that represent us both on the basketball court as well as within the department and then institutionally and in the community? And I think we're in a really good place there as well. And the other one is really strategically, like are we in a position from a game plan standpoint to step on the court against anybody and feel like we can have an opportunity to win because we've been able to put together a game plan. And I think that's really where my coaching staff comes in most. I think they work extremely hard at understanding what it takes for us to be competitive on the floor during the course of the ball game and giving us a chance to win. You know, the last 18 months or more, when we've dealt with the things COVID-related that we have, I think it really gave us an opportunity to grow in a lot of areas. One of them is the relational piece of getting to know each other on a different level, getting to know each other, what makes them tick, their background, and really how much can we trust each other on the court. And I don't think that can be underutilized in success. So as many things as we talk about being negative in the last couple of years, I think that's one positive thing that has come out of COVID, and I feel like we are in a really good spot when it comes to the cultural piece and the trust piece of each other. I also can't tell you how refreshing it is to be back on the court on a day-to-day basis, and that started all the way last summer. You know, the summer before, it wasn't like that, and it was kind of messy. We weren't here, then we were here, then there was a ton of restrictions. But this past summer, having everyone back, having 8 weeks in the summer to really compete and get ready has put us in a position with a lot of returners, I think, to expect success. I don't know that I've been as excited about a team or more excited about a team than I am this year for a lot of reasons. I think we have great leadership. I think we have great experience. I think we have great talent. And as long as I don't screw it up, I think that should all lead to a lot of success. I also mentioned there was times last year that we played some really good basketball. Bowling Green was able to win the league last year. We played them twice. We were able to beat them twice. Central Michigan won the conference tournament. That's who we were eliminated by in Cleveland, but that's also somebody that came to the Convocation Center, and we were able to beat by 31. So when I look at the returners and the league, there's nobody that necessarily scares me. I think it's going to be a very interesting run in the MAC. I think there's a lot of teams that return a lot of pieces that are going to stand up, much like I am today, and say we should be in the mix. We should have an opportunity to cut down the nets in Cleveland. There's a ton of steps that have to take place before that can happen. Offensively, I'm going to talk a lot about it this year, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are going to be led by our 1-2 punch in our point guard, Shelby Coker, and our post player, Asia Davis. The team knows that. Everybody's going to know that when they watch us play. And so the expectation with surrounding them with great players and great shooters, I think we have all of that. Shelby's coming off a year as a sophomore where she averaged 21 points a game, was an all-MAC performer, and was really a very dynamic point guard in our league. When I tell you that she's gotten better, that seems a little bit maybe unrealistic, but I can tell you she's gotten better. And I think the things you're going to see from her, anybody who watched us play last year understood that she was very dynamic in scoring the basketball in a lot of different ways. What you will see from her this year is that she will be able to pass and find her teammates at a much higher rate. I also think with a year of experience and what we asked her to do last year, she will take better care of the basketball. And so those are the areas we're going to see growth for her. I think when I look at Asia's development, again, she's somebody who can do a lot of damage in the bottom half of the lane, very versatile, very strong, is a very good rebounder. But again, the thing that makes her next level is that she has become a much better passer as well. I don't think there's a lot of teams that will be able to just play her straight up one-on-one. And when they don't, and when they double, she's going to know exactly what to do. And I think that's where her growth has really taken place. I'm going to talk about each player a little bit in years of eligibility remaining, which gets a little complicated. I feel like half of our team is seniors and half of our team is freshmen, and that's not really the case. I do have 4 players that are likely in their last year of eligibility, so we'll start there. Paulina Castro, a very familiar name since the time she stepped on campus, somebody who played all of last year healthy, which is something she was never able to do. She's a captain for us, and a lot because of her vocal leadership. She's somebody who's really smart, understands where everybody's supposed to be, and she can help navigate that. Whether she is on the floor or not, she can help from a leadership standpoint. When she is on the floor, she's a very dynamic shooter, and that's what she was able to show last year in that capacity. Erin Hodges, again, another very, very dynamic player. Erin brings something to the court for us that we don't have in a lot of other people. She's long, she's really athletic, she can defend, she can rebound. And again, when she's on the floor, she impacts the game in one way or another, which is really exciting. Michaela Brandon is another senior for us, and somebody, when I look at the growth that has taken place, especially in the last year, has been tremendous. She's another captain for us, so from a leadership standpoint, she's grown in leaps and bounds in that area. Probably one of the smartest players we have on the team as far as being a floor general, especially on the defensive end. An elite rebounder, and her skill set offensively has continued to grow. So she will play a ton at that 4 position for us. And then the other senior who is actually a grad transfer for us is Nia Ahart, who comes from Colgate. And when you watch Nia play, you'll know that she's a 5th-year senior. Like, right place, right time, great communicator, understands what we're trying to get accomplished. Like, she plays like she has great experience. And we love that about her. So that's the 4 seniors that I believe we will see in a uniform for the last time this year. The other seniors that I don't believe will be done, and again, a very familiar name, Janae Poizon returns as the 6th person of the year in the league. She was top 10 in the country in three-point percentage, and there's times in practice where some of the defenders on the team just shake their head because she can shoot it, and she can shoot it deep, and when she gets hot, I don't know that there's a better shooter in the country, to be honest with you. She feels great physically, somebody who's really been through a lot from an injury standpoint, back-to-back seasons where she had knee injuries. She is as good now physically as she's ever been, and when the ball leaves her hand, there's never a time I don't think it's going in. She's a super energetic person as well, which is great in practice, and you'll definitely see that on game day. Emily Minar is another junior college transfer last year for us, plays a forward position, really athletic, active on the glass, good defensively, great teammate. She will be in the rotation for sure at the post position. She can play the 4 or the 5 for us, so she'll help us in that area. I say sophomore class, but again, they're juniors in the classroom, but that's really our most dynamic class. I mentioned Shelby, I mentioned Asia. Grace Hunter is also in that class, somebody who has been really good in practice, is one of our most athletic and fit athletes. She only knows one speed, and that's 100% all the time. That's good and bad, most of the time good, but she's going to run through a wall every time she is on the basketball court. Our third captain, so again, those are 3 players that were voted on by their teammates, which holds a lot of weight when it comes to the respect that they have throughout the roster. I have 3 what I'm going to call repeat freshmen. Any of you who watch them play, you probably watch them on ESPN, which is awesome. Now you'll get a chance to see them in person. Brooke Stonebreaker is our tallest player. She's a 6'3" left-handed post player. Again, probably one of our most improved players from last year. Has managed to stay healthy, gets in work every day, and has really grown somebody who can score in the bottom half of the lane. Sid Mcrae, unfortunately, last year as a freshman had to have knee surgery, but she is cleared and in practice, and again, somebody who can really shoot the basketball. Left-handed, 5'10", dynamic shooter from 3, and defensively continues to get better all the time because of her knee injury getting better. And then the last repeat freshman is Jaden Maribel, and I think Jaden is going to have a huge year for us. Somebody who is a combination guard. There's going to be times that I can play her and Shelby together where Jaden can play the point, Shelby can play off the ball a little bit. If you ask any of our players, definitely the most explosive and quickest player that we have on the floor, and her comfort level is just at an all-time high since she's been here. So if we put the ball in Jaden's hands, all of us trust that there's going to be a positive result. So I think we're going to see a lot from Jaden, and I'm excited about the year that she's going to have. We have 2 newcomers, 2 freshmen, Mariah Pruitt, who again fits right into what we like to do as far as shooting the 3. She comes from Des Moines Christian, has had a great preseason as far as really putting pressure on some of our other guards in practice to make them better. And Laura Nickel, who is a forward swing player, kind of do a lot of different things, can put the ball on the floor, can do some things back to the basket, can play the 3 or 4 position, very versatile and smart. So those 2 fit really well into what we're trying to do. That kind of rounds out our roster a little bit. Our non-conference schedule, again, much like you heard the coaches before me talk about, is extremely challenging, and I think that's the best way to prepare for what the MAC has to offer. We get an opportunity to play tomorrow night against Benedictine in an exhibition game, which is always exciting for the players to put on a uniform for the first time, not have to play against each other, get up and down the floor and kind of see where we're at. And then we have 9 non-conference games. 5 of them are against teams that went to the postseason last year. So that's really exciting. We open on the 9th against Illinois State, which is one of those teams that went to WNIT last year when the field was cut in half. So they had a great year in the Valley, and they are returning a lot of pieces to that postseason team. We also have Milwaukee, Bradley, and Colorado State at home. So that kind of rounds out our home schedule. As far as being on the road, we go to Drake. And again, people who followed women's basketball know that Drake is one of those teams that consistently goes to the NCAA tournament, and they have a great squad returning. We also go to Harvard, who I said 5 of the 9. You probably could say 6, but they didn't even play basketball last year in the Ivy League, so that'll be an exciting trip to Boston and give them an opportunity to play Harvard. The Compass Challenge is in its 4th year, so we will be at Western Illinois this year. That will be something that we renew and continue to do. So Eastern, Western, Southern, and Northern are all getting together and see who's theoretically the best team in the state. I know that the trophy is here, and we would like to keep it here, so that's exciting. And then my historians in the room, we get the opportunity to revitalize the home and away situation with DePaul. I wasn't here necessarily for all those heated rivalries, although Doug Bruno was. And so he tells me stories. I had the opportunity to talk a little bit to Jane Albright when I got hired. She had plenty of stories about the rivalry between NIU and DePaul. So we're going to go to Wintrust. We're going to play DePaul this year. Again, a team that's consistently been in the top 25 in the country out of the Big East. And then next season, they'll come back out here to DeKalb. So that'll be exciting. I mentioned a little bit the strength of the MAC, and I feel like I say that every year, but I think for sure this year, some of the consistency that Central Michigan has been able to have at the top in the last few years, I know that Heather will continue to put out a great product and Central will be good, but they'll have many different faces. And I think you have a lot of teams in the middle that return a majority of their squad, and so there's likely 7 or 8 teams out there that feel like they will vie for a championship, with us being one of them. Like anybody, you have to stay healthy. You have to be able to go to war with the people that you have on your roster. But I think it'll be a really exciting and interesting run in the MAC. You got to get to Cleveland, and then you have to have a really good week of basketball. And I think any 8 that get to Cleveland will have that opportunity. Does anybody have questions? Yeah, I think that's what we see daily in practice, is we've been able to challenge them at a much quicker rate because of the comfort level that they have with each other and the understanding of what we're trying to do on both sides of the ball. Not that we won't run a little bit of different things offensively and defensively, but they understand who has to have the ball in what situation and then where they need to be to have success. We're going to put the ball in Shelby's hands, and we trust that she is going to make the right decision. The shooters and the players around her also trust her to be in the right place, and they're going to be ready when she finds them. Defensively, I think we can expound a little bit on just being a man-to-man team and be able to press a little bit more, be able to trap a little bit more. We have the personnel to do that. And again, we've been able to really excel on the defensive end in changing things up a little bit, all because of the familiarity they have with each other.
Talked a little about Asia already, but what is it you've seen about her development over the last few years that makes you think she's set up for the
I think Asia has a great understanding of what it takes to be a really good college athlete and a really good college basketball player right now. Not every freshman, when they come in, they think they know, but they don't really always know. But then they live it for a year or two, and then they do know. Asia's super competitive. She wants to win, and she has a much better understanding of what we're going to need from her in order for us to do that. And so I think that's why we're going to see such a huge jump for her. Last year she had a great year, missed a few games because of injury, but she has a clear understanding of what we're going to need from her. And so I think that's why we're going to see the jump that we do. She's already had games where she's put up gaudy numbers. She had 17 points, 17 rebounds as a very young player. There's going to be times that she could be a 20-20 person. That's a big expectation, and that's a big number, but I think she has the skill set to do that at times. And we'll rely on her knowledge of the game to have success. And I think she's ready for that.
You kind of mentioned talking with your staff over the summer about X's and O's perspective. What exactly were you guys trying to focus on coming into this season?
Yeah, I think what you'll see from us this year, we ran a ton of ball screen stuff last year, and we'll continue to do that because that puts us in a position for the right people to have the ball in their hands. I think we have grown enough in our familiarity with each other, we'll be able to just run some motion as well. And you can't do that unless the 5 players on the floor understand where everybody's going to be. I think we have a group that can do that. If you can do that, that makes you much more difficult to scout. And so I think that's why we'll have some success in that area, because we'll be able to play a little bit freer and be tougher to scout, and I think we have the talent to do that. That doesn't change things. We're still going to get up and down and run and shoot as much as we can. But when teams make us play in the half court, I think we have some options there.
You did mention shooting. You guys looking at a little bit like the analytical side side, how three-point shot more important than two-point shot, per se?
That's true. 3 is worth more than 2, so I like that. Actually, the analytics side of things in the last couple of years has probably been our biggest growth when it comes to, when I sit down with my staff, we stat and do an analytics breakdown of every practice. And so, yes, we're able to look at things that more than just the stat sheet will tell you. How many creation opportunities do they have? How many potential assists are out there during practice? So are we making the right basketball play at all times? It's easy to do in games, but having that information now in practice on the day-to-day, I think is really important for the players to understand as well, so they know if their development is in line with what we see as their role on the team. All right. Thanks again for everybody being here. It's going to be an exciting winter in the combo, right, Coach? Yeah. Thanks, everybody.